Welcome back, guys. Here's my second video on how to get started into the Warhammer 40k tabletop. But before I go on with the codexes, I need to mention, this game is constantly evolving. Every time a new codex comes out, or a new special model or vehicle or something comes out, sometimes the rules get tweaked just a little bit. So even though when you do have the rulebook and you do have the codex, it's a good idea to check out the errata that you can find on the Game Workshop's website. I'll put the link right down here. You go to the errata and you can pull up the PDF with all the FAQs on the specific codex you're looking for or on the rulebook to help clarify some of the rules and to help update some of the really older codexes. Now that being said, let's move on. Last time we talked about the Horde codexes. Now I'm going to talk about more of the average point kind of trickery kind of armies. And the best army to talk about trickery, the Eldar, or who I like to refer to as the Space Elves. Now I haven't actually played as the Eldar, but I have played against the Eldar a lot. And I'll tell you, it is one of the most frustrating armies to play against. Point-wise, they cost more than your basic Orcs or Tyranids, but they are cheaper than some of the Space Marines. So you have a more balanced out army as far as points go. In the Eldar in general, a lot of the units are very fast, but not very tough. They're kind of squishy. So they're really good with a lot of hit and run tactics, but that's not what they really excel at. What they excel at is when they just kind of bend the rules a little bit. There are quite a few Psyker units in this army, and at least against armies that I played against, those Psyker units tend to really turn the tide of the battle. Not because they have really overpowered, like devastating attacks, but they have a lot of buff and debuff abilities. Even some of their infantry units or jet infantry units are much more easily able to perform the hit and run tactics because of these special extra rules that the Eldar employ. So if you're more interested in an army where you can deploy a lot more strategic value, and if you're really looking for speed to just run circles around your opponent, and if you think you can overcompensate for their inability to take a hit, essentially, then the Eldar would be a pretty good choice for you. But if you're looking for more the evil side of the Eldar, there are the Dark Eldar. Now I don't have the codex for the Dark Eldar, and unfortunately I have not played against anybody using the Dark Eldar. But from what I've seen at least online, is that the Dark Eldar, most of their special abilities are more for buffing their own units as opposed to debuffing your opponents. But if you're looking for a lot of hit and run tactics and a lot of fast units, the Dark Eldar probably plays similar to the regular Eldar, I'm not quite sure. But the way I see it, if you want to play Eldar but more on the more evil side, then Dark Eldar would be a better choice. And if any of you out there have more input to put on Dark Eldar, feel free to put out some comments down there. Now the next army, in which unfortunately I currently don't have the Codex on me right now, is the Tau. Now if you thought Warhammer 40k wasn't complete without a Gundam style army, then don't worry because the Tau easily fit in that slot. The Tau is another type of basically sit down and shoot army. They have really strong range weapons, not very good in the melee fighting, and a lot of their more stronger units have essentially battle suits. And this is another army in which you could play straightforward if you want, but if you want to play them more effectively, then you have to use all their special abilities. One of the main ones being a marker light. It's essentially one of those red laser beams you kind of mark or tag a unit with, so you can have other units fire missiles at with great accuracy. Or you could use that special little laser beam marker light to improve the accuracy of some of your other units, reduce your opponent's effectiveness in cover, or just affect their leadership of certain tests. The effective Tau armies that I've seen played usually tend to abuse the marker lights a lot. And when you add in the fact that their battle suits are very customizable and you could really pimp them out to take care of whatever situation you think you might go into the battle, the ability for a lot of their units to deep strike so you just plop them wherever you want on the board, and the fact that their basic weapons are a lot stronger than most of the other armies' basic weapons, then the Tau might be a good choice for you. Now the next codex that I would like to talk about but can't really talk about is the Battle Sisters Codex. I can't really go into detail on this and I can't really talk about it because honestly this video is for people just starting into the game and there is no starter set for the Sisters of Battle. I would love to start a Sisters of Battle army, but there is no starter set. A lot of the pieces are really expensive and you gotta buy them individually. There is no real official codex. There is something in the White Dwarf magazine dealing with some updated rules for the Sisters of Battle. But really, the Sisters of Battle seem like they're they're essentially ignored and forgotten by Games Workshop. And really, I really want them to come up with a new battle set because I want to start up on Sisters of Battle Army. But until that happens, I can't really talk too much about them, but we're just going to skip that for now. And now we're going to move on to the Demon Army. Now, some people might consider the Demon Army to be more of a power army than a trickery army. But these are my videos, so I'm putting them in the trickery army. Kind of version of the power army. Now, if you're interested in playing an army filled with demonic creatures, then the Demon Army is going to be pretty good for you. Then you get a lot of choices in the type of demons you want. There are essentially 4, chaos gods, and there's 4 different sets of demons for each of those gods, but you can mix and match however you want. But the main reason I'm putting them into the trickery codexes is because how they deploy. At least in the older codexes that I've read, they don't start on the battlefield like other armies. No, all of them deep strike, meaning your opponent doesn't see where they are. Your opponent places his army, and at the beginning of the game, you pretty much plot your units wherever you want on the game board. There is some scatter involved, but this gives you a huge strategic advantage in trying to flank out your opponent, and they can't really plan out where you're going to be coming from because you could be coming from any point on the map. And from most of the units I've seen, the demons generally lean towards more melee units and range units. There's a few range units, but a lot of them are pretty much melee units. So you can pretty much get up into your opponent's face as fast as possible, a lot faster than most other armies, and start causing some serious damage. The only real downside to demons is that they're not exactly the cheapest units. They cost more than the other trickery armies I showed you, but some of the units are a little bit cheaper than some of the Space Marines. And I believe like all of their units have invulnerability saves because they're demons. Invulnerability saves being more effective than armor saves, but unless you read the rulebook, you don't know what I'm talking about, so we're just going to move on. And because of their ability to pretty much deploy wherever they want via Deep Strike, I think this will be a really fun, if not very risky, army to play. And if that sounds interesting to you, to play a demonic force, or even to be able to deploy that way, then the Chaos Demons are your choice. And finally, the last codex I want to talk about are the Chaos Space Marines. There's a new codex that just came out. Now, a lot of people will say that this is more of a power army. And you wouldn't be wrong. This is a lot of really powerful units, a lot of expensive units. But with the new rules, you get a lot of extra abilities that will just really change up the game. Change it in a way that there's this new ability with the Chaos Army in which the champions for any squad, when they win a one-on-one combat against another squad leader, like an opponent squad leader, then there's a chance that they'll get some random bonus to their stats, or they'll just randomly turn into a demon prince. So your 4-point Chaos Cultist champion can become a 145-point demon prince. Granted, it's not going to be a very good chance that cultist is going to win any one-on-one battle. And it is a pretty big road to try to get that demon prince. But that's still something that will just completely turn the tables in any battle. Not to mention, in this new KX Codex, there's a lot more demon fiend vehicles. Meaning there's like living machines. So just think about like a really huge hulking, like beast dog machine covered in armor, running towards your opponent's forces, just clawing at them with this huge, giant, mangled claws. Or just firing energy blasts from his mouth. And the fact that they're demon machines, they also get a special invulnerability save most any other vehicle in any other codex would not get. And they could regenerate health. Sort of. And the Chaos Space Marines get special heavy units that could essentially make whatever kind of heavy weapon they want. Or any kind of power melee weapon they want. But of course, those kind of units are very expensive. So I would put the Chaos Army more like in trickery, kind of more so on the power side, but still keeping their foot in the trickery side. So if that kind of army interests you, Chaos Codex, it's worth a look. And now as I end this video, I think I'm just going to go on towards the power side of codexes, since there's not many codexes left, which will end up bringing me to the Necrons. If you like zombies and if you like robots, then you'll love the Necrons because they're essentially zombie robots. This is an army that's, again, has powerful weapons, very tough units to kill, In fact, a lot of the units can come back to life after you kill them. They do have some special hero type units that will affect the rules of any kind of battle you go into, and they do have some very powerful vehicles. Of course, with all this power comes the fact that a lot of the units are going to be expensive. And they are a fairly slow army because they're zombies and robots. Now, I haven't played as any of the Necron armies. I haven't played against anybody with Necrons. I'm just going off of what I've seen online, some of the codexes I've seen, and they just seem to be like a very strong, very hard to kill kind of army. And fairly straightforward as well. So if you're liking the zombie robot kind of thing, definitely go for Necrons. And now the only real reason I'm kind of trying to go through all these other codexes fairly quickly, especially in this video, I kind of wanted to be just about the trickery codexes. It's because I just realized that the codex I have left, which is going to be a power style codex, is going to be the Space Marine codex. You know, Space Marine. Also, the Space Wolves. Also, the Blood Angels. The Grey Knights. The Black Templars. And the Dark Angels, and I think that's all of them. So I think it'll be best if I just save all of those for my next video. Till then, those are my opinions. Take them for what they're worth.